Well, hello, little golfers. How you doing? Let me just turn off the echo up here. Well, voice. There we go. Turn that channel off. Right now, I can hear me, but just because I can hear me, not because I can hear me. If that makes sense. Right. Let's have a look, shall we? I wanted today to have a look at a really interesting one from the weekly updates that we get from Go. You should all be subscribed. So is is Go an object-oriented programming language? You know, you hear a lot about this Go being like a functional driven language, and it's got a functional concept, and even the way that you create a struct and then apply a function to the struct to extend its functionality is very, very functional. But at the end of the day, you get an object back, don't you? And you call methods on that object. And is that enough for it to be object orientated? Now, I don't know. Let's have a look. Let's see if I can not bash the microphone away. Right. Go is an object orientated programming language. Statement. Fact. I like it. I get into this argument every 3 months or so. Pretty weird timing. So I'm just going to write it all down here to remind me of the key points to why Go is in fact an object-oriented programming language. I like it. This boy's decided that's it. I'm going to arm myself with enough facts and evidence so that I can rebuff any claims that Go is not object-oriented. First up, the idea of a language being object-oriented or functional or whatever isn't really useful. Essentialist nonsense. Go and all languages have features. They're designed and the designers make decisions about what sort of feature the language would have. Yep. Or could write object-oriented code in Haskell or OCaml or Clojure or Racket or whatever. I could. He could. How successful I would be down to how the feature of the language supports writing object-oriented code. Well, precisely how they support an object-oriented design. So stop asking essential crap about whether they are object-oriented. Take a functionalist approach and ask if they let you do OOP easily. First off, great start. He's going in all guns blazing. But object-oriented for me is about mapping the real world so that your code looks like the real world. And you know what? Been doing this for a long time now. And what I've discovered is that as soon as you map a model and you make it look like the business, then the business decide they're not going to sell these widgets anymore. They're going to do something else. They decide they're not going to do these financial products. They're going to do something else. They close complete departments and fire something up. A lot of businesses aren't like an ice cream shop that sells ice cream, and come what may, they will sell ice cream. You get some businesses that start up and they're going to sell shoes online, and then they end up doing video conferencing because it's just where the business took them. People follow the money. And I have lost track over how many times we have built objects and models that map the business painstakingly to the name, only for one decision in a boardroom to come across and it's all done for, just in case you didn't know what that meant. Worse, you don't have time to refactor, and the things that are in there no longer represent the name or the essence or the structure of the way that the business now moves. Because let's face it, the business just turn around and say, right, let's do it. And all the people just start doing it. And then they start janking the IT to help them and try and jimmy it in. And you end up with a system where it doesn't actually match. And that's for long-lived projects. Anything that's lived over maybe 5-6 years, I think. After that point, the code no longer looks like what the business is. Unless you're following some really good architectural patterns and you're doing functional programming. Because sending an email is always sending an email, right? And it does. Why do you need to wrap it in your business domain context with fat models? Like, what even is object-oriented programming, man? Yeah. I don't want to get into the tall weeds with this one, as there's lots of writings out there. Really good read, Alan Kay or something. OOP to me means only messaging, local retention and protection and hiding of state process, and extreme late bindings of all things. Very web way of looking at it. I can be done in Smalltalk and in Lisp. There are possibly other systems in which this is possible, but I'm not aware of them. Which I guess means there are no OOP languages. So we'll have to choose or loosen up from Alan's description. Paige Jones once wrote a long feature on this. So maybe what they're saying here is that these are the kind of building blocks of an OOP language. They allow things like encapsulation. So, Go does, you can make private methods, functions. You can make private properties of a struct. So, in essence, you can encapsulate. You can hide complex implementation. And really, that's what all these modules are for, right? Yeah. So, object identity. Is it a dog? Is it a cat? Messages. Don't quite know what you mean by that. Classes. Classes. I think this is a very programmy thing, that we think that in Java we've got a class, in C++ we have a class, and now the whole idea of object orientated is now classes. But that's not a thing, that's not a concept, in my opinion. So inheritance, good one. I do not know. Polymorphism. Well, do you know what? With Go, you've got a struct which has an interface. You can have a cat and a dog. You can then have them implement a animal interface, and bing bing bosh, you've got polymorphism. Speak. Woof. Generic. Everyone's shouting now about generics, but apart from a very few small cases, they're not overly useful, I don't think. It's good that they're in there. There are some cases where you want to do something with different types of objects of the same type, and you want to do a common thing with them. Woof. But in most cases, I think you can get away with it with just using an interface. So, and he says, which I think goes too far. But even though he says go too far, all them things, apart from inheritance, which let's give a go in a sec. Apart from inheritance, I think we can do pretty much all of them. Let me just see if anyone in chat agrees with me. So far, I am saying Go is OOP. Let's see. Is Go OOP? Let's see what the chat says. Right. So here's what I think object-oriented programming is all about. Objects. Yeah. Let him cook, as we say. And as we all know, Go doesn't have objects, so it can't do OOP. But wait, what are these structy type things? They look like objects. They smell like objects. They taste like objects. He's doing duck typing! Duck typing! Anyway, yep, they're objects. Why are they called structs then? Go ask Rob Pike. I don't know. Well, structs was a low-level data type abstraction. I think structs are in C++. And, you know, it's to hold a collection of data to be moved around and worked on. I think where structs are going a little bit messy or cool, based on how you look at it, is the ability to add functions on top of structs. Moving them away from DTOs and just there into useful little objects. So I guess it was a canny marketing move to distinguish Go from Java. But no. The way that we use functions and the way that we can assign functions to structs can be done by what modules we import. And the fact that we're able to extend or degrade the functionality of a particular struct just by our references, our using statements. .NET has extension methods, so you can have a string and now you can include an extension method, and it now has join by 4000, which could strip it into blocks of 4000 and produce an array of strings, useful for inserting into databases. Anyway, that has the ability to extend, but by itself, a string doesn't have that method. You are able to extend it. And I don't think that was one of the things up here. There wasn't a thing that says, you know, in order to be OOP, we must be able to extend an object. I think that's pretty useful, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, OO isn't cool anymore. Don't tell that to the C sharpers who are still doing vertical slice architecture. And all the fancy mediator patterns and CQRS. Don't tell them there's no such thing as an object, because floating around in all of them events are messages which are objects. So these structs, they're just data, right? We're safe. Yeah. Until you want to compare them. That's another story. Video, watch it. Functions working on data. Great. We'll call it data-orientated programming or something. And we can sell some books and a few workshops. Well, there would be if someone hadn't gone and ruddied putting methods on them. I mean, come on, Rich Picard. Come in. You've now got enough there to get the message passing off the ground. Have I gone like just completely dyslexic, by the way? Because it feels like what I'm reading is not what I'm seeing and what I'm seeing is not what I'm reading. But you get the gist. You can read along with me. Come on. At least as much as Java gives you, right? And you're not going to say that Java isn't good for writing OOP. Well, Alan Kay would. Oh, God. I mean, anyone who's done Java. Get this, set this, get this, this, got, get, this, got, get, equals, get, equals. It's like, honestly, I had shortcuts that did .get, .set. I think it was like Control Shift G, Control Shift S. And it was literally shortcuts so I could just go and actually write Java without wanting to punch myself in the face every morning. Anywho, But encapsulation, I think this is where we got us, you know. I think they got us. It's fine though, because all the data and methods on an object struct is completely public. There's no encapsulation going on here, right? I don't know why people say that. I'm going to just no. Have you ever not put an uppercase on a function and gone, and it ends up that you've just not made the first letter uppercase and therefore doesn't show up? And your LSP is like, what are you doing, man? This doesn't exist, man. And you're stopping the LSP and starting it and you're kicking it and you decided that's it. I'm going to open up like Visual Studio or, you know, just end your life and make a brew, come back 30 minutes later and it's still loading all the plugins, you know. And then you realize, no, uppercase. So it does have encapsulation. If you don't export an identifier from a package, it's essentially hidden from the calling code. And struct fields and methods, well, they're identifiers. So, yeah, we got encapsulation too, mate. We got it too! Agree? But classes and inheritance. Yep. I don't think you need inheritance to say that you're OOP. And I also don't think you need OOP to say you're OOP. We're just getting shit done. We're getting work done. Mute that, by the way. Chad, you just rewind that. Just cut that bit. So classes aren't an object-oriented programming feature. They're a code reuse feature. You know, I kind of get you're reusing code by making a class, and now you've got a class and you can use different data on that code. It's just what a class is. I wish we'd stop saying classes as well. Like I said, a class is just a function for making an object. Dependency injection? Is that what you're going? Well, if I wanted a function in Go that makes me a struct, I just write one instead of constructing the struct from nothing like barbarians. I don't know if there is, so chat, hit me up. Is there a way of making a struct without allowing people to just make a struct like a barbarian? You know, I've always got a method, new something, that forces properties to be provided, forces the struct to be a good citizen out of the box. But that doesn't stop other people from reusing my code and just making an instance of a DB context system, a DB or a microservice graph engine, and not using the new. Not using the tools that I provided and the nice documentation and everything that goes with it, you know. Nope, they just make a new instance of it, call a method on it, and it all goes, you know what I mean? So, look, I've got a class constructor. Structs make a function. Inheritance. Not really inheritance, is it that? Am I missing something? I've got a class constructor and struct make a function. So inheritance. No. What you could do is you could make a function, right, that has another function inside of it, and then that's got a proxy that allows you to access it. So that allows you to do that, but not particularly inheritance. And inheritance is code reuse, you know. When do you use inheritance, gang? When have you used it? Just when? You know, you got this, you got that, that inherits that, that inherits that, that inherits these 10 things. And before you know it, you thought you had OOP that followed the business, but now you just got a big pile of poo. So is it even needed? You know, there are some languages that only allow you to inherit one thing. There are other languages that allow you to inherit like 1,024 other objects, which is just insane. So if you're still messing around with a dog is an animal inheritance, when you explain object, gang, I pre-read this. I just give it a little skim over. I swear to God, I just give it a little swirl over. I was playing about with this idea, was trying to work out the chat GPT, whether, you know, that was a thing, whether that was going on. And I think literally, has it lost it? Has it lost it? No, I was looking at Kubernetes stuff. Type checking. Go, I bet this is it. Let's have a look. Do you remember? Do you remember when we used to say in December? Here we go. Da 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 da. How can you actually do type switching? Well, you got an animal, pass an animal in, work out whether it's a dog or a cat. It's just, honestly, every university lecture on the planet when they start talking about inheritance talks about a cat, a dog, and an animal. It's just, I don't know. It's the law. You got to do it. If you're explaining object-oriented programming, then what rock have you been living under? Absolutely. There are entire functional adults who are younger than this, yeah. And guess what? Go helps you do this by making class inheritance impossible. No classes, no inheritance, simple. So, what do you think? Do you think it is object orientated? Let's have a little bit of a play about, right? Let's see if we can create something here. Make directory. Make dir. What we're going to call this OP. OOP. Then we're going to go mod init. Let's call this OP. What have we got? We've got a go mod. Okay, let's do a neobim. Let's do an E. Main.go. Let's create a little main file. To insert mode, package main. Oh, wow. It's a good start. This is an amazing start. Package main. Imports. Format. Let's close it. Func main. Print hello. Let's run it. Yep, looks good. It's a bit of weird formatting. Let's see if we can now add some structs and some stuff to it. I'll tell you what I need to do. I need to change my keyboard layout to US. Just easier for them quotation marks and brackets and stuff. You know, it's just easier it being over there. I'm an English guy, man, but US keyboard rules. The run, hello world. Okay. So what we're going to do is you think about type dog. It's a strut. Then we've got name. And then we've got type cat. The struct, we've got a name. And then what we've got is we've got a func of CDog. We can speak, and you already know where I'm going, don't you? You already know what I'm doing, Copilot. So function cat speak, meow. And I'm going to print out now, I'm going to print out meow. So let's go for that. Then we've got a dog, and what we're going to do, and then we've got a cat. And what we're going to do, come on. I don't want to write any code today. Don't want to write anything. Literally, I just want to press tab. Right, run. And now what we've got is, Fido barks and Whisper meows. Well, that is as much object orientation as I really can stomach. I that's enough for me. I can now start doing some amazing stuff with this. And there's also ChatGPT. Come on. Let's just do it for me. Let's just plumb into my brain and tell me what I want to do. You delicious thing. So func, say hello. We're going to pass in an animal, and of course we're going to do speak on the animal. And now what we can do is we can actually say something as dog and cat. And what we can do, of course, is we can, as soon as we come out of the normal mode, we can run that. And of course, we're going to, Fido says bark and whisper and meow. Fido barks and whisper meow. So if we have some function deep embedded into some other system, as long as it understands interface, as long as it knows, let's call it that. As long as we know, let's come on, zoom in, come on. As long as we have animal, right, we can speak. And that means that this interface can go anywhere. And it doesn't need to know anything about any implementation. We have the ability now to encapsulate and hide away even the complexities of what a dog or a cat is, or in your business, what an MBC is versus a compliance versus an underwriter versus a solicitor. We can hide away the complexities of the business logic and just get to the bare roots of the interface, the things that they do. What do they do? Why do they exist? Everything then is a function. And then we just got data to back up that function. So here we have the ability to speak. And I could have passed in extra things into here to decorate it with other things that it needed. But at the end of the day, it's just an animal that's speaking. I pass in my dog, I pass in my cat. Now at the bottom, what I'm doing is I have a choice to be made. I can choose to work on the concrete objects and work with them directly, still using the power of polymorphism, encapsulation, just by saying dog speak, cat speak. But the best thing is when you can pass it into something that accepts a interface. Say something does not know anything about a dog or a cat. It doesn't understand any of them things. It doesn't even have access to a.name. IntelliSense is coming up, but it's lying. It's just trying to autocomplete. That's not the LSP. That's just text insert. It doesn't exist. And therefore, we've got a very, very, very simple contract here. So my take home is, do you know what? Yes, GoLang is an object-oriented programming language as far as I'm concerned. And you know what? With that, I want to save, quit, just leave, and then Neil Bim, I am the gizzard.